Like any good agent, we're here for the open house, for the closing, for handing over keys. But because we're realtors, we're here for so much more. Agents who are realtors volunteer at nearly 3 times the national average. We're working to broaden access to credit, increase affordable housing supply, and ensure fair housing for all. And realtors are bound by a code of ethics. We're here for it all. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
When you're worried about underarm sweat and odor, it can be distracting. Like this. Or this. Or even this. It's time to silence those distractions with a spray of powerful Dove Men Plus Care antiperspirant. Featuring our 72-hour protection and soothing 1/4 moisturizing cream. Because when you forget about your underarms, you can focus on being unforgettable. Dove Men. Forgettable underarms, unforgettable you.
Life moves fast. We move with it. Rhone is premium apparel designed for performance, crafted with precision, and inspired by your journey. Every stitch, every fiber is made to fuel your relentless pursuit. We push forward together because it's the only way we know. Take 20% off your first order in store and on Rhone.com. That's RHONE.com. Rhone. Forever forward.
It's time. Time to get in the zone. Time to get in the zone with the 49ers web zone. This is the No Huddle Podcast with Al and Brian.
49ers web zone No Huddle Podcast. We're part of the Odyssey Network. I'm Al Sacco. He's Brian Renick. And is there cause for concern with the 49ers? Brian?
Yes.
I don't think a lot of people saw it coming. I know we didn't. We were talking 31-10, 31-13. Yep. And early in the game, I actually wrote in my notes JV versus varsity because the Niners were just going to smoke them. They're up 14. Yeah. They're going up and down the field. And then that fake punt happened, and everything kind of went haywire. And it was a game where, similar to last week, there's things I'm concerned about. And these things have been exasperated. These things are showing their face over and over and over again. So do I think this is a playoff team? Yes, I still do. Am I concerned? Yeah. Are you concerned?
Yeah. We talked about it. I can't remember when, but one of the questions was about special teams. And, I said that I don't think Kyle Shanahan gives a shit about special teams. And here we are, right? A game that swings on special teams. Not just the fake punt that was converted, but also the long punt return. It's at this point, like if I got to interview Brian Schneider, I think the first question would be Office Space style. And I would just ask him, what is it that you do here? Right. Because it certainly doesn't seem like it's coach special teams, because the special teams unit sucks. It just is not good. And
year after year.
Exactly. Right. There's been, I think, 1 year where this team wasn't in the bottom third of special teams rankings. And it was in the direct middle, right? They've never had a top unit. And with a team that tends to have a roster with some pretty phenomenal athletes just littered throughout, there's really no reason why you shouldn't have a top-notch special teams unit. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And, the problem is, football, you have to be good in all three phases, right? One phase, being bad in one phase can cost you games, can cost you seasons. And they were not good in two phases of the game yesterday. I am more concerned about the defense than I am the offense. I thought the offense looked fine. I thought, outside of punting Ronnie Bell into the sun, which I think we need to do. And I expressed so much surprise that he made the initial 53 man. That always made no sense to me.
Yeah.
And so it still makes no sense to me why he's on this team.
30 snaps. He played 30 snaps.
Right. And especially when you've got Jacob Cowing, right? Like what is Ronnie Bell giving you that Jacob Cowing couldn't? again, Kyle Shanahan and his disdain for playing rookies at the wide receiver position it cost this to me. It cost this team a game. Why are you drawing up plays for Ronnie Bell with the game on the line? Like it just makes no sense. But regardless of that, the offense was fine. Brock Purdy looked great. I mean, he would have had a game where there might have been 2 incompletions on the day if it weren't for 6 drops. 6. Brandon AIyuk, bro, you are not doing yourself any favors in the eyes of the fans with the way that you've performed through these first 3 games. But again, the defense and the special teams. I don't know what's going on with the defense. Honestly, at this point, Monday looks like the Monday night opener looks like an aberration. And also that the Jets should probably be a little bit embarrassed about their offensive performance in that Monday night game. Again, just based on, the Rams down all of their good players except for Kyron Williams and Matthew Stafford. And they put up 27 on this defense. There's no excuse for it. There's no excuse. And yeah, I'm definitely concerned.
Well, the thing with AIyuk, because I have a lot to say about special teams too, but I'll start with AIyuk. Fans are pissed right now, and I think you're seeing the brunt of that. And a couple different plays, and you're looking at the beginning of the season very differently. He was wide open at the end of the game, where Purdy looked like that he looked at him. He didn't throw the ball. Now, we don't know what Purdy's expecting there. Maybe Purdy was expecting him to go outside, and he went inside. You have no idea, but Purdy's staring. It appeared anyway, down the middle of the field. AIyuk is wide open. He throws that ball. It's a touchdown, game over. He didn't. He ended up throwing to Jennings for a shorter gain. If he hits that pass, and nobody's saying anything. If he catches the touchdown pass in week 1, instead of it going through his hand, nobody's saying anything. He had a touchdown last week that could have happened, but Purdy was a little late on the throw. Maybe nobody's saying anything. Having said that, he is dropping the ball. He hasn't made a huge impact. And right now, again, it's a situation where if you're going to pull that shit, if you're going to hold out until a week before the season and even get up there and admit, yeah, I dragged my feet on this, the fans are going to want you to come out and play like CeeDee Lamb and play like some of these great wide receivers in the league. Justin Jefferson, put up those kind of numbers, have that kind of impact. And if you don't, well, now the magnifying glass is on you.
100%.
So, he's under the microscope, but we'll see. It's a long season. He can still turn it around. But special teams, I put out yesterday, when does the emphasis going to be on special teams? When?
Right.
And some people said to me, well, Al, they drafted a kicker in the 3rd round. They've drafted a punter. They signed George Odom to be a special teams ace. And special teams is not just about kicking and punting. It's coverage units. And I'm glad George Odom is good. Clearly, the other guys there are having issues, or it's a coaching thing or whatever, but they've changed coaches. So what the hell, man? And you look at this game, the fake punt changed the whole game around.
Yep.
The whole game. Now, whether they were ready for it or not, they didn't execute. It's inexcusable there. But whatever, again, you're still better than this team that is ravaged by injuries. It shouldn't have mattered that much. But it did. It changed the game around. I'm not going crazy over Moody's missed field goal because it was 55 yards. Now, kickers do hit 50-plus yard field goals with regularity, especially now. It's nuts what some of these guys make. But it wasn't a chip shot.
Not a chip shot. No.
He didn't shank a 37-yarder. It was a long field goal. So if you do invest in a kicker in the 3rd round, do you expect him to come in and be a stud and hit those kicks? Yeah, you do. But I'm not going crazy over that. It wasn't an easy kick. The punt return at the end of the game, inexcusable. Yeah. Inexcusable. To give up that kind of return with the game on the line to put the Rams basically in position to go and win this game. Just absolutely inexcusable. And again, so now the special teams, when you go back to the Super Bowl, they've pretty much cost this team 2 of the last 4 games. At what point does it become an emphasis? At what point does it become important? Because you need all 3 phases to win championships. Maybe not to win games when you have a lot of talent, but to win championships. Go ask the Patriots.
Yeah.
They were good in all 3 phases. Bill Belichick made it
Always.
a point. Special teams, special teams, special teams. And when you have what the Niners are putting out there, it's going to cost you games, and it has.
Yeah. And, like you said, they drafted a kicker, they drafted a punter. Who cares? Like, that doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter when you are consistently bottom 3rd in the NFL in special teams rankings. Like, regardless of the draft capital that you put in at those two positions, which again is just part of special teams. Like you said, it doesn't matter. What matters is, are you bringing in coaches that have a track record of success? And Brian Schneider had one season of success in Seattle, and that's it. And you brought him in, and he hasn't done anything so far. And it just feels like at a certain point, you've got to take stock of your coaching staff, and you've got to say, like, I'm busting my ass, right? To put the best offense that I can on the field. I need to expect the same from the rest of my coordinators. And right now that's not happening. Now, Nick Sorensen has never been a defensive coordinator. He's never called plays. I don't know if people remember, but DeMeco Ryans' first year wasn't rainbows and butterflies the whole season, right? There were struggles that he had. That's bound to happen with a first-year coordinator. Mm-hmm. And we're in week 3. Like, the fire Nick Sorensen crowd, that's not going to happen. Like, it's just not. So let's not waste our energy, talking about firing a defensive coordinator that's 3 games on. I think there's a difference between saying something about, like, Brian Schneider, who's been here long enough to be like, this guy isn't it, versus Sorensen and Staley. Let's be perfectly honest. It's kind of a combo platter. But you lost to
Brandon Staley talk. Sorry, has been. I'm shocked. You don't ever hear his name. It's like he's not there. Well, and his fingerprints are clearly all over the defense.
I would agree, but the problem is like you said, he's not visible, right? Like, you can look at some of what's going on in the defense, especially in the coverage end, and be like, that's some Brandon Staley shit right there, right? Like, again, as I said last week, I don't ever want to see Nick Bosa dropping into coverage ever again. Like, what the hell are we doing? Right. Like, that is galaxy braining coverage, which is something that Brandon Staley is kind of known for. But I don't know what needs to change on the defense, but this is a game against a team that with the amount of talent you have on the defensive side of the ball, you should not have given up more than 10 to 14 points to this team, regardless of how good Matthew Stafford is. Matthew Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. I love Matthew Stafford. I love his game. But he had no one. He had nobody. And this team put up 27 points on this defense. 27 without Cooper Kupp and without Puka Nacua and without the majority of their starting offensive line. Like, that is embarrassing. It's embarrassing. It's an embarrassing effort on the defensive side of the ball. And there's no excuse for it. There's none. You had the overwhelming edge in talent, and you let them score 27 points. Inexcusable. And it needs to be addressed. What needs to be addressed? I'm not sure. There are certain players that I think should probably not be seeing the field much anymore. Devondre Campbell is one. I'd like to see D Winters on the field.
Struggled.
Like, give someone else a shot, because Campbell's not it. And I mean, I guess on the defensive side, that's pretty much it for me in terms of, where you would change personnel. But I mean, have you seen the video floating around of Javon Hargrave on the last drive?
I did. And I do wonder, he had a tricep injury. I wonder if he was literally couldn't at that point.
Okay.
That's to give the benefit of the doubt. If there's that kind of effort in last play of the game, I do wonder if he was hurt. So, me, I'll be the first person to be critical but I got to be fair there. I do wonder if he's just like, my tricep shot. You know what I mean?
Right. Which, and if that's where we're at, like, this defensive line is in trouble. If Javon Hargrave is out for an extended period of time, again, not that he's been a world beater since being here, but he
you don't have the depth.
Right.
You mentioned about replacements. Who would you put in? I think it's a matter of definitely the switching coordinators, they're feeling for things right now. They're trying to figure things out. That has to be part of it. I feel like with all the talent here, that has to be part of it. And maybe second half of the season, they'll start to get together. But we did talk about, we don't know these guys. This isn't Eric Armstead. We don't know these guys. These are new players on the defensive line that we're trying to see are going to fit in and how they're going to fit in. And they don't have the depth that they used to. You're kind of, you have to go, like you said, D Winters at linebacker. Dre Greenlaw is a game changer. He's not out there. That's a huge missing piece. Huge. We loved, Demo's great. Ward had some rough moments on Sunday, but he's typically very good. We like the corner group, but the safeties too. Hufunga's in his first game back off of a major injury. Brown's a young guy, and they weren't getting good play other than that. So I don't know that there's any other places to go, even if they wanted to. Yeah. And what this is a product of is the Lance trade. Now, the Niners are not feeling Trey Lance at the quarterback position at all. Right. Obviously, Brock played terrific yesterday. Where they're feeling it is everywhere else, because you look at the drafts from 2021 through 2023, they got secondary players. They got Lenore. They got Hufunga. They got Purdy. Jair Brown's a starter. Other than that, who else did they get in those 3 drafts? You didn't get any defensive or offensive line help. Not really. Yeah. Burford's there, but Burford isn't, a lockdown starter. He started for you, but he's not a cornerstone offensive lineman. Who else you got in those drafts? Drake Jackson was a huge whiff. Mm-hmm. Danny Gray's not there. Nick Zakelj isn't doing anything. Mm-hmm. They didn't get any impact guys. So when
on
you're
the lines,
whiffing on, say it again?
On the lines,
yeah. So when you're, really anywhere else either, the secondary, and you got Brock, but Danny Gray, TDP, Latu, they didn't get any impact guys anywhere else. Right. Willis, the linebackers, people like D Winters, but you're still relying on Greenlaw and Warner here. So there's not the depth on defense, and you're starting to feel it. So when you do get injuries, you're not that elite unit anymore. You're kind of just, these are kind of just guys now. Yeah. Some of them that are running out there. So it's not the same 49ers team.
Yeah, it's not, it's not what we've come to expect. But, one of the things that we talked about is we didn't believe that the defensive line was the strength of this team anymore on the defensive side. We thought it was the secondary, and the secondary has played fine. I don't know that they've played up to what we anticipated in terms of, being a lockdown coverage unit. I think Yadam hasn't been as good as we anticipated, right? I don't think he's been as good as he was in New Orleans last year. I think Ward and Lenore have been as advertised and what we expected. And then the safeties, right? We've been waiting for Hufunga to come back, but, obviously that Jefferson touchdown, that was on Odom and Jair Brown. And, there have been some coverage busts, and largely those coverage busts have come from the safety position. So there is obviously work to be done there. Having Hufunga back helps. But again, he's on a pitch count as is, right? He's not going to be playing as much.
He's going to get eased back in. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So again, are you going to go with youth there with Malik Mustafa, or are you going to try and stick with, George Odom? Again, George Odom, great special teams player, spot starter here or there if you need him, but to rely on him as a starter for any chunk of the season, I feel like is definitely a downgrade, in the secondary in that regard. But yeah, this defensive line, it just looks ordinary. It doesn't look like it's going to be a unit that can take over a game. Like we were used to for a long time here. Right. Malik Collins has looked good. But again, we were used to Eric Armstead just absolutely wrecking games, especially in the playoffs. And I don't know that I see that out of Malik Collins. He's just a good, solid player. Really the only 2 players on the defensive line that you could reasonably expect to take over a game is Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd. And if they're not getting the pressure that, we expect, then we're kind of, shit out of luck at that point.
I don't even know that I would expect Floyd to take over a game. I expect him to make plays, but
Sure.
Eric Armstead, for everybody wanted to knock Eric Armstead, right? He gets hurt, his stats. He could take over games, and he did. He did in the Super Bowl. He was phenomenal. They don't have a dude like that. And the reason you have your kind of Band-Aid guides in Floyd and Hargrave, going back to the draft picks, well, you whiffed on Kinlaw, so you had to sign Hargrave. Well, you whiffed on Drake Jackson, so you had to get Leonard Floyd. That's kind of where we are kind of over and over again with this. And they're going to have to go with the guys that are there, but they haven't even really played a really great offensive line yet. I mean, the Vikings look like are here to stay. The Vikings look a really good team. Look
what a
they
performance
did this
yesterday.
on defense. Yeah, they look phenomenal. But when you go against a team that's going to pound the ball like Detroit, you see what the Packers are doing with Malik Willis. That's when it's going to be a concern. So unless this defensive line does come together and become a strength, the Niners are going to have issues going very far, man. They really are.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Attention sports enthusiasts, keep the adrenaline pumping and elevate your game day with Chumba Casino. It's completely free to play. No purchase necessary. Whether you're cheering from the stands, on the move, or relaxing at home, Chumba Casino brings the thrill of social casino directly to your fingertips. Experience the ultimate social casino adventure with reels of casino-style games, offering hundreds of exciting options to choose from and fresh new releases every week. There's always something new and thrilling to explore. From action-packed social slots and classic blackjack to engaging bingo and solitaire, the fun never stops. Plus, enjoy generous daily login bonuses and a fantastic free welcome bonus to kickstart your social gaming journey. Dive into the excitement. Discover a world where you can play for your chance to redeem some serious prizes and have a blast along the way. Don't miss out. What are you waiting for? Join now and immerse yourself in nonstop fun and adventure with Chumba Casino. Get in on the action today at ChumbaCasino.com and make every day a Chumba day. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ TNC supply.
It's Odyssey's AI Minute, presented by Oracle. We all know what it's like to feel harried, but you definitely don't want your doctor rushing. AI technology, like Clinical Digital Assistant from Oracle Health, might be a solution. The new center at Stanford Medicine reports that AI can accurately listen and record clinical notes. 2/3 of physicians said it helped to save time. This means more time for clinicians to be present with their patients. AI may be the most important new computer technology ever, but AI needs a lot of processing speed, and that gets expensive fast. Upgrade to the next generation of the cloud, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI. OCI is the single platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs. Do more and spend less, like Uber, 8x8, and Databricks Mosaic. Take a free test drive of OCI at oracle.com/AI-biz. oracle.com/AI-biz.
For all the concern and the doom and gloom and everything that's going around right now, if you look at Kyle since he's been here, he's had a winning record through the first 8 games of the season twice. They went 0-8 and 1-7. Now those are rebuilding teams, so you can kind of maybe throw those 2 years out the window. 8-0 in 2019, but then 4-4 in 2020, 3-5 in 2021, 4-4 in 2022. They were 5-3 last year after a 5-0 start, and right now they're 1-2. So only 2 seasons. Now they made the Super Bowl in those 2 seasons, but they typically do start slow. And in the 2021 and 2022, we were absolutely having sky is falling conversations. They look like shit. And they ended up in the NFC Championship game. So it is more about how they come together. But right now there is cause for concern because I think with those teams, you were more like, when are they going to get it together? With this team, it's kind of like, at least for me, I think there's some concerns here, and they're starting to maybe rear their ugly head a little bit.
Yeah, and here's the ugly reality is that this is the softest part of their schedule.
Yeah,
it only gets more difficult from here. So that's not encouraging. And then not only that, but I don't know if you looked at the standings. And again, we're through week 3, but the 49ers are in last place in the NFC West. Like that's a tough pill to swallow. And
the Seahawks are the softest 3-0 in the world, though, man.
Sure,
like they're they're 3-0. It's still 3-0, but they're like just getting by. I feel like against these pretty shitty teams.
I mean, to be fair, and granted, Tua was out, and I don't care what Mike McDaniel says. Skylar Thompson's not a starting quarterback in the NFL.
No, he's awful.
But they absolutely obliterated the Dolphins. And like I said, I don't know what to take from that because Skylar Thompson's not good. But they still got Tyreek Hill, and they still have Jalen Waddle, and they still have Devin A-Chain, and I'm not. I mean, I agree with you that, again, I don't think the Seahawks are going to win the NFC West, but to start 3-0 puts yourself in a much better position. And we'll see how this team stacks up against them in 2 weeks. But here's the thing, like I said, or in 3 weeks, I should say. This is the softest part of the schedule. They've got the Patriots coming in. I mean, I would normally say like not concerned about that game, but how can I not be concerned when you just lost to a Rams team that got blown out 40-10 by the Cardinals last week? 40-10. You're telling me that Cardinals defense is better than this 49ers defense? They only gave up 10 to the Rams. This 49ers defense gave up 27 to the Rams.
Still a division opponent. You can't say, well, it's a division game because the Cardinals game was a division game. So still a division opponent there.
Exactly. So, and here is the other thing. And this is where I think, cooler heads will start to prevail. The September in the NFL is like, I cannot imagine betting actual real money on the NFL when things like the Panthers putting an ass kicking on the Raiders happened on Sunday.
I do. Or it's not going well.
or the Vikings absolutely stomping a mud hole in the Texans, right? Like this kind of stuff is going to happen in September because teams are still putting things together without a real preseason anymore, and without and with an off season that is very much more concerned about giving enough time off to the players. And I'm not begrudging that at all. The NFL is a sport where you are putting quite literally your life and your body on the line every Sunday. The more time these players get for recovery and things like that, I think the better, but it does make for not very aesthetically pleasing football for at least the first month of the season. And so, like I said, it's hard to take too much away from these first 3 weeks. But I will say that I think there are genuine concerns on the defensive side of the ball, which we've talked about. And there's still concerns on the special teams, which there have been concerns for a while now. And so, I doubt this will happen. I would be interested to see, if anybody asks Kyle, like, hey, like, when are you going to put an emphasis on the special teams? Or, just ask like, hey, like, why are you consistently in the bottom in special teams rankings? Yep. No one will ask that. I know that.
Nope. Nobody will.
but I'd be interested to know. I'd be interested to know the answer to that. What his genuine feelings are on the topic. And like I said, maybe his genuine feelings are, I don't give a shit, because I think that's I do believe that's how he feels. And I thought about it, and we're like, fake punt, right? They get burned on. When's the last time you saw anything creative on special teams from the 49ers?
Yeah, it's kind of like let's just get this over with.
Right. I cannot think. And maybe Kyle, I feel like Kyle has addressed that in the past, and is basically like, why would I try something special, like something, off the wall on special teams or whatever? I think Kyle believes that to be the mark of a desperate team, right? Like, I'm good enough on offense and defense that I don't need to do anything special on special teams, regardless of what's in the title of the unit, because I have full faith in those two sides. But like you said, the Patriots and Bill Belichick put a huge emphasis on special teams, and they won 6 Super Bowls. So
yeah,
maybe there is something to be said about actually putting a little bit of effort on that side of the ball as well.
Man, I was hoping they would go into the Chiefs game 5-1. I mean, at worst 4-2. Now you got the Patriots, who again, the Patriots are really bad. I know we just said this about the Rams because they're decimated, but they still have Matthew Stafford, right?
Yeah.
So, you would hope that's a win. The Cardinals, you never know what to make of them, but they gave the Bills all they can handle. They gave the Lions all they can handle, and they destroyed the Rams. So they're not, and that is not an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. The Seahawks are at Seattle. It's a Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of playmakers on offense. Their coach has given you fits in the past with his defenses with the Ravens. And then you go into the Chiefs game.
Yeah.
Where are we going to be? I can't wait to see it, but wondering where we're going to be. And then you have the Cowboys, who look atrocious. The Bucks, I have no idea what they are. The Seahawks, again, the Packers scare the hell out of me. The Bills, who will scare the hell out of me always with Josh Allen. The Bears. How about did you ever watch any of the Bears-Colts game?
I did not. I was, so Sundays are softball for me right now. Coaching my daughter's fall team. No big deal though. We are undefeated. So, and that's absolutely stomping mud holes in teams. So, but yeah, no, I did not see any of the Bears and Colts game.
I mean, you want to talk, Anthony Richardson doesn't know where the ball is going after he throws it. I mean, he's airmailing throws 10 feet over dudes' heads. Like he can't make a throw that a high school kid should make. He's all over the place. And Caleb Williams looks lost, just absolutely lost.
I did see somebody say that Caleb Williams so far has just simply looked like a slower Justin Fields. And I was like, oof.
Well,
oof.
he looks like he's trying to figure out like, oh shit, I'm not more athletic than all these people. Now what am I going to do? Right. So he'll, his footwork will get screwed up, or he'll try to do something crazy because in college he could just do it because he'll be more athletic than everybody else. And people are running 10 yards open. And I think he's just having trouble figuring it out. Like, oh shit, I got to throw on time. I got to have good footwork, all that stuff. But anyway, Bears, who knows where they'll be. Rams again, Dolphins, who are a train wreck as long as Tua is out. Lions, Cardinals. So a schedule that maybe you were thinking 13-4.
Yeah, we said 12. Now, both of us said 12-5.
12-5. Now maybe you're thinking 11-6, 10-7, maybe the way things are going.
Again, they've lost 2 already. So if we're going 12-5, they've only got 3 losses left on the schedule against teams like Kansas City and Buffalo, Detroit and Green Bay. Like,
so, but yes, football has been, I saw a stat. Week 1, 45.8 points per game was averaged. Week 2, 39.6, and week 3 to this point, we're recording it on a Monday, so the games haven't happened yet. 38.3 points. So scoring is down and going down right now. And like you said, it's because of the way that the preseason is now. Teams just aren't ready.
Introducing Bluehost Cloud, ultra-fast WordPress hosting with 100% uptime. Want a website with unmatched power, speed, and control? Of course you do. And now you can have all 3 with Bluehost Cloud, the new web hosting plan from Bluehost. Not only is Bluehost Cloud our fastest web hosting available, but it's also built for WordPress creators by WordPress experts. With 100% uptime and incredibly speedy load times, your WordPress websites will be dependable and lightning fast on a global scale. Plus, your sites can handle even the biggest traffic spikes without going down or lagging. And with Bluehost Cloud, you can get 24/7 WordPress priority support, meaning you're connected to WordPress experts anytime you need them. Not to mention, you automatically get daily backups and world-class security. So what are you waiting for? Get Bluehost Cloud today by visiting Bluehost.com. That's Bluehost.com.
All right, parents, it's back to school time, and I've got a secret for you. There's a drama-free way to make vitamins part of your kid's morning routine. Lil Critters Gummy Vitamins. You see, my kids think they're just eating fun, delicious gummy bears, but little do they know, they're getting essential nutrients for their health and development.
Mom, we know they're vitamins.
As I was saying, kids absolutely love, and apparently know, these are vitamins. Lil Critters is the pediatrician-recommended kids multivitamin gummy brand, and the yummy way to start the school year.
Listen, we've been a lot of doom and gloom. I want to hit on a couple of good things from week 3.
Brock Purdy.
And I'll save the best for last, but let's go Purdy first.
Yeah.
Who I thought, with all the questions around him, well, there's no McCaffrey. Well, there's no Kittle. Where there's no Debo. Yeah, the Rams defense sucks. I get it. But I thought he was phenomenal. I thought he played great. The missing, they're not seeing or not wanting to throw to AIyuk, other than, okay, if people want to throw that out there, fine. But I thought he played great. Over 70% completion again. Now, he's only the third, only 3 times in 49ers history has a QB completed over 70% of his throws and had 3 touchdown passes and lost. Joe Montana in 1985, Steve Young in 1992, and Brock Purdy. So, I mean, that's pretty good company to be in, I guess, if you're going to have that stat.
For sure.
But I thought he was really good, and he continues to just put up these numbers. So, in 24 starts, he said 24 regular season starts, he's had a passer rating of 100 plus in 16
games. Yeah.
Kurt Warner had 16 in his first 25. So they're tied for that amount. And the only person with more was Patrick Mahomes, who had 18.
Yep.
It's pretty good company, man. And I
100%.
thought he was in control. What'd you say? He had 6 drops. So he may have only had like 2 incompletions without those drops.
Right.
He did have the fumble as well, but McKivitz got blown up. That happens sometimes. Just played great. I thought he played great.
Yeah.
I thought he looked like a franchise dude. I thought he did not have his weapons, and he had a really good rapport with Juwan Jennings. He made plays with his legs. A lot of plays where he's getting out of the pocket and diving. I loved what I saw from Purdy.
Yeah. And, I've seen that clip of, wanting Brock to rip it down the seam to Brandon AIyuk for that touchdown. But here's the problem. It's late in the game, and Brandon AIyuk has done nothing that game to give Purdy confidence that if he rips that ball, that Brandon AIyuk is going to catch it. Like, I think that's part of the problem, right? Is if I'm Brock Purdy and I've given Brandon AIyuk quite a few opportunities in this game, and he's fucked me multiple times because he just drops it, or like even that one that Tre'Davious White broke up, right? Well, part of why Tre'Davious White broke that up is because Brandon AIyuk let it get into his body. If he had caught that with his hands out in front, like you're taught to do, like he knows to do, then Tre'Davious White doesn't break that pass up. So again, I think there was a lot that Brandon AIyuk has. I mean, he deserves criticism. He deserves criticism through these first 3 games.
Sure. Especially when you're making that kind of money.
100%. I don't care that that's the market. I don't care, whatever. I've advocated very, 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 very strongly that they needed to sign Brandon AIyuk, that he deserved the $30 million. And it feels like a personal attack right now by Brandon AIyuk to play the way that he has played so far. And it also just seems like, and I hope this is not the case, that, one of the arguments that people make all the time, and granted, everyone that makes this argument is a fan and has never probably played the game, or at least played the game at a level like that. But, your biggest fear is he got paid and now he's like, well, I got my money. So like, I'll do my best, but I'm not going to kill myself. Right. Like, you hope that's not the case.
I just think he's rusty. I think that camp is so important and people want to brush it off. But
can we talk? I mean, can we just point to Juwan Jennings' game? Right. Juwan Jennings finally gets a legitimate opportunity for, to be a large part of the passing offense, because Debo's out. He's the starting Z, played all camp with Brock, built up a rapport with Brock, and caught 11 passes for 100 and how many yards did he have?
75, I think.
Yeah, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. Camp is important, especially for your playmakers, to establish rapport with the quarterback. Rapport is going to change year over year, right? Just because Brandon AIyuk had good rapport with Brock Purdy last season doesn't mean that if he doesn't build that up in the offseason, that it's just going to magically reappear, when he steps on the field, because obviously it hasn't. And so again, that's why it's important. And Brandon AIyuk has blame to shoulder for that. So do the 49ers, right? Like, again, stop screwing around. If you want these players, just get it done early so that they're not missing time. We talked about it. Every single player that they've signed late in the offseason has had a down season the next year. Brandon AIyuk looks like he's on track to have a really down season through the first 3 games. Plenty of time to change that, but the pattern is there. Okay. Let's hope that for the sake of the team, that whoever they decide to sign, whether it be Ward or Lenore, because again, it's probably not going to be both. And I assume it's going to be Lenore as the younger player, the player that they drafted, all of that. I just genuinely hope that we don't go through another offseason where another player misses camp because the 49ers are dragging their feet on a contract extension. That's just, never mind. They can't with Lenore, right? Because he's going to be a free agent.
He's going to be a free agent.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay. So we don't have to worry about that because he'll be a free agent. They have to get it done early, but regardless, I'm just done with the way that they negotiate. Because again, the proof is in the pudding. All these players had down years, and this could end up costing them dearly in the long run.
They mentioned on the broadcast about Trent Williams saying like, "Hey man, this is tough trying to get in shape right now." He's been getting IVs to get through games. It happens. I don't care if you're a freak of nature. I don't care how good you are. It happened to Bosa. It's happening to Williams. It happens to AIyuk. You got to be in camp. Can't keep doing this bullshit. But Jennings leads the team in targets this season. 21 targets, 18 catches on 21 targets. I mean, it's just phenomenal. 276 yards, 3 touchdowns. All of that leads the team. Kittle has 11 receptions on 13 targets. Debo, 13 receptions on 19 targets. AIyuk, 11 catches on 20 targets. So figure out where the connection isn't it happening there. Now, Jennings is the first 49ers wide receiver since Jerry Rice in 1995 to have 10 or more catches, 150 or more yards, and 3 touchdowns in a single game. So his final line was 11 catches, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns. If you're a fantasy football player like us, 46.5 fantasy points in a PPR league. That's the most by any player in a single game this season. And he is 49ers wide receivers with 100 yards receiving and 3 receiving touchdowns in a game over the last 30 years. Jennings, T.O., and Jerry Rice. That's it.
Good company.
Pretty good company. What else can you say? This is a guy who we saw sort of come to prominence in the Super Bowl. Okay. He probably would have been the Super Bowl MVP, but it's just one of those fluky games, right? You have those Super Bowls where a role player steps up and has a big game, but he's not a star player. Well, he's come in this year, and guess what? Dude's been a star player. Dude's been phenomenal. Not just making big third down catches now, but comes out with a game like he did in week 3 where he just dominates. And it wasn't like he was wide open. That he had that Randy Moss-ish catch.
Yeah.
Over whoever it was.
Yeah.
His head. We just jumped over his head and pulled the ball in. Mm-hmm. He was just making circus catches, easy catches, tough catches, whatever it was, scoring touchdowns. Great rapport with Purdy, like we said. He's becoming a star. And I don't think he's going to get phased out at any point when these other guys come back. I think he's still going to be a big part of this offense. And in the playoffs, I mean, I think they were trying to get their best players the ball in the playoffs, and he led all of the receivers in receptions. He's a player, man. He's here to stay. And,
and a lot of times I think people, when Juwan Jennings has a good game, people are like, well, yeah, because they're concentrating on Debo and AIyuk and Kittle, right? And so you forget about someone like Jennings. You couldn't forget about Jennings today. Jennings was, the primary target along with AIyuk, and they still couldn't stop him, right? And so, again, at a certain point, you just got to give credit where credit is due. Juwan Jennings is a really good wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's not a burner, right? He's never going to, he's never going to have a 75-yard touchdown because he'll always get caught from behind, but he has amazing body control. He's a big body, and he's a dog, and he will go up and get a ball because that's his ball. And, sometimes I think Debo has that mentality. He just struggles to get separation. I think Jennings gets separation just because of his body and just how big he is. Mm-hmm. But that's I want the type of mentality that Juwan Jennings has. I need that to rub off on Brandon AIyuk. That's really what I'm hoping. Again, Brandon AIyuk is a $30 million wide receiver, but let's get a little bit of that dog mentality back in Brandon AIyuk, because he really has seemed kind of subdued since getting that contract. And I'm not sure.
He's probably not comfortable.
Yeah,
he hasn't been on the field. The timing isn't there. He knows it. He feels it.
Yeah. But yeah, just thrilled for Jennings. And then even Jordan Mason, not the type of game that we've seen from him, but still 19 attempts for 77 yards. More importantly, Brock Purdy gave him 2 opportunities this game to catch the ball. He caught both of them. One on a scramble drill, and caught it. And Mark Sanchez said it on the broadcast. Rarely are you going to bring Jordan Mason down at first contact, and even on that first reception he had, he made the first guy miss and got an extra 3 yards for a first down. So, love what I've seen from Jordan Mason. I just hope that, when CMC does come back, that again, in order to save CMC from himself, Mason is still getting a good amount of run in every game. But
I think he will. I think he will.
And then I liked what we saw from Eric Saubert. I think Eric Saubert deserves a little bit more time. I'd love to see more 2 tight end sets, with him and Kittle. Saubert showed that he can be a weapon in the passing game. And like I said, I wasn't concerned. I do think the offense probably should have been expected to score more than 24 against that Rams defense.
They missed Kittle in the run game. They
did miss Kittle in the run game for sure.
Big time.
For sure. Just look at Mason's yards per attempt. Against the Jets, it was 5.3. Against the Vikings, it was 5. And against the Rams, it was 4.1. 4 is still good. 4 is still good. I mean, period.
He ripped off, I think it was 2 15-yarders back to back.
Yeah.
If you take those out, it wasn't as good. But I don't think it's anything, at least I didn't see any film yet, but at least from watching it on the broadcast, it seemed like he doesn't have running room in a lot of spots.
Right.
I thought he did well with the opportunities.
That's the thing that I love about Jordan Mason is I'm never concerned that he is going to get negative yardage because he's just dancing around and waiting, right? Like he is going forward at all times. And so if he gets stuffed, it's because there's a lack of running room. It's not because he's dancing and trying to get too cute. So, I'm not concerned about the offense at all, but the other 2 phases 100% deserve my concern and definitely need to get better if this team has any semblance of a shot at winning a Super Bowl.
Yeah, so we're going to be back tomorrow, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. We're scheduled to interview. We are excited. Scheduled to interview Dominic Lenore. So we'll have him on. We got him for 15 minutes tomorrow, 3:30 Pacific, 6:30 Eastern. And obviously it'll be on the pod after we record and get it out. So we're really excited to talk to him. And hopefully we'll be able to have Demo on weekly throughout the year and be able to talk to him. So we're pretty excited about that. Hopefully it all comes through. Until then, subscribe, like. For Brian, I'm Al.
Later.
9-0-3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah!
2400 Sports is an Odyssey company.
Life moves fast. We move with it. Roan is premium apparel designed for performance, crafted with precision, and inspired by your journey. Every stitch, every fiber is made to fuel your relentless pursuit. We push forward together because it's the only way we know. Take 20% off your first order in-store and on Roan.com. That's RHONE.com. Roan. Forever forward.